Hey guys, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Your daily dose of finance, episode 2 today. We're not doing the once more. Just looking at BTC quickly before we go into the video. Gonna be interesting. How to look on the week. I only look on BTC because we don't have stock market. Tomorrow I'll probably look at that instead. But yeah, let's just jump right into the Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger heaven, I say.
Yeah, some of these things happen a lot more slowly than you might think. I went to a program at Harvard, at least 30 years ago, describing how color movies were going to come to the house on demand, and they were just around the corner. Well, they've come, but it was 30 years later. I have the feeling that self-driving cars having a huge impact on the market may take quite a while.
Yeah.
And so I'm not.
That would be my guess, but we could be wrong.
Yeah, it could be wrong.
But
But
if we are wrong, we'll be wrong together. It is hard to figure out how it could have a major impact in 10 years, but it may not work at all. Who knows? But Geico will be doing more business, a lot more business, in my view, 5 years from now than now, and 10 years from now. 30 years from now, you're young enough to find out, and I will go away peacefully without knowing.
You and Charlie, do you ever fight or argue, and any lessons over the years for how you manage your partnership of two? Thank you.
Yeah. Charlie and I have never had an argument. We met when I was 29, he was 35. We're a little older now. And in those years, 55 years, we've disagreed on a lot of things. And it's just never led, and never will lead to an argument. We argue with other people, but it hasn't occurred. I called Charlie on the Coca-Cola vote, and I said what the proxy statement said and everything. And said, "What do you think?" And we thought alike. Sometimes we don't think alike, and we never go away in the least bit mad if we don't.
Yeah, but most of the time we think alike. That's one of the problems. If one of us misses it, the other is likely to too.
Yeah, I would say that. Well, there's no question. If you look at the really bad mistakes we've made, I've made them. I'm probably a little more inclined toward action than Charlie. Would you say that's fair, Charlie? Or?
Well, you once called me the abominable no man.
If you go back 100 years, each city of any size was characterized by lots of candy shops. Chicago was a big leader. New York was a big leader. Believe it or not, the predecessor company to Pepsi-Cola was a company with the most. It was a company called Lofts that had the most candy shops in New York City. It was a candy shop company originally. That a fellow that what was his name? Yeah, what was it, Frank?
Guft.
Yeah, he acquired Pepsi for a few $1,000, stuck it in Lofts, and the corporate name, if you go all the way back on Pepsi, is Lofts. So there were loads of candy shops around every place, and including in Omaha. Boxed chocolates have lost position dramatically, primarily, I would guess, to salted snacks of one sort or another, various things. See's has done remarkably well, far better than any chocolate company in the country. Russell Stover did very well for a while, very well, with a different business model. But they ran into their problems as well. So we can't do much about increasing the size of the market. And we've tried a lot of ways, and we've tried moving out of our strong geography multiple times. I mean, Charlie and I looked at what we were earning in California in the 70s and said to ourselves, if we can do this in 50 states instead of one, we'll get very rich. So we tried it, and we didn't get very rich. It doesn't travel that well.
Well, sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. And you figure out whether it's going to work by trying it.
Yeah, and we've tried it many times. But so far, it's interesting. 2/3 people in the East prefer dark chocolate, 2/3 to 1/3. In the West, they prefer milk chocolate, 2/3 to 1/3. They like miniatures in the East. They won't eat miniatures in the West. There's a lot of different things. But in the end, there isn't a lot of box chocolates volume. And we've done very, very, very well in C's. And it not only has provided us with earnings that we've used to buy other businesses, so we've added lots of earnings power through C's beyond the earning power we've added at C's. But it opened my eyes to the power of brands, and probably you could say that we made a lot of money in Coca-Cola partly because we bought C's, or at least in my case bought C's, because I'd understood brands to some degree, but there's nothing like owning one and sort of seeing the possibilities with it as well as the limitations to educate yourself about things you might do in the future. And in 1972 we bought C's, and in 1988 we bought Coca-Cola, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if we had not owned C's, whether we would have owned Coca-Cola later on. Charlie?
Yeah, there's no question about the fact that its main contribution to Berkshire was ignorance removal. And it's not the only big contributor to ignorance removal. If it weren't for the fact we were so good at removing our ignorance step by step, Berkshire would be practically nothing today. What we knew originally wasn't enough. We were pretty damn stupid when we bought C's. We were just barely smart enough to buy it. And if there's any secret to Berkshire, it's the fact that we're pretty good at ignorance removal. And the nice thing about that is we have a lot of ignorance left to remove.
We are very disciplined in some ways, and by ordinary business standards, we're sloppy in other ways. And a clear weak point of mine would be I'm slow to make personnel changes. I mean, I like the managers we have, and Charlie and I had a wonderful friend who couldn't have been a greater guy, and we were slow to make a change there. We loved the guy, and it wasn't killing us in our business. And how long would you say we went beyond where somebody else would have acted in that case, Charlie?
Well, I don't know exactly, but turning to the sweep account system reminds me of a friend I had when I was in the Air Corps, and he was a very skinny man, and he decided to give blood. And they put the needle into his arm, and the blood stopped flowing, and the nurse just started stripping his arm as though it were the udder of a cow. And he got the impression that they were going to get that blood whether it took all he had, and he fainted. And it was a very unpleasant occurrence. And I don't think a sweep account is all that pleasant to sit there and just, when every little dollar comes in, somebody sweeps it away.
Charlie,
I like the tone of our business.
Our managers are listening here. I mean, don't give them that illustration to use when I ask for money.
But I've seen people subject to Teledyne and Litton and those people swept every dime every day, basically. And it was a little more economic, but it created a tone in the company that, which I think is less desirable than ours.
We've waited too long on managers, though, sometimes, Charlie.
Well, sure, you and I participated in taking one man directly from an executive chair into an Alzheimer's home. There was no...
You're hitting a sensitive subject here, Charlie.
We'd arranged that he could do no harm, and we loved him well enough so that we just made it easy for him. I've never regretted it, have you?
No, not at all. Not at all.
On the other hand, I want to be pretty careful.
We will be slow, and there will be times when what you might call our lack of supervision over subsidiaries, we'll miss something. Now, we think that giving our managers the degree of freedom that they enjoy will also accomplish a lot. So someone will come along someday and say, if you'd had many more checks and oversight and all of that sort of thing, something will happen at Berkshire, and they'll say that wouldn't have happened if you'd followed the procedure that some other company followed, and they'll be right. But what they won't be able to measure is how much on the positive side we have achieved with dozens and dozens of people, because we gave them that same sort of leeway. I mean, we operate differently in terms of the level of control and supervision. We don't have a general counsel's office at Berkshire. We don't have a human relations department at Berkshire. And that would be almost unthinkable to other companies. And we're not saying that's a 100% benefit in all ways. We think on balance it's a benefit. But when the downside of such a procedure shows up, people will say, well, you should have done it differently, and you should have been spending lots of money all over the years and restricting the activities more of your subsidiary managers and so on. And our reaction will be that they are wrong, but we will look bad in that individual case. Wouldn't you say that's true, Charlie?
Yeah, by the standards of the rest of the world, we overtrust. And so far, our results have been way better because we were carefully selected people because they were going to be overtrusted. And it's worked very well for us. And I think a lot of places work better when they create a culture of deserved trust. And that's been our system. And some people regard that as a weakness. And this modern accounting treatment, when everybody's measured on internal controls, I think it's going to do more harm than good.
So that's the video done. We're gonna have some key takeaways on this, and the first one is patience is key. Major innovations take time to impact the market. I think when it comes to video on demand and that kind of stuff they talked about, now we have everything is so easy with streaming services, Netflix and so on. For example, IQ, I 3D printed this the other day because, as we see, we look at the stock. I think it has great potential value, but you never know 100% with stocks. But this company looks very, very good on paper. But I will look more into it in another video that is separated to it. But back to the video we just saw. Like, they don't agree on everything, so you could say good partnerships don't require agreement on everything, which is quite sensible. Mistakes are inevitable, but provide learning opportunities. We all have to fail to grow. You fail in the gym when you're training, but you will grow still. Brand power is crucial in investing. Like if the brand has extremely good power in the market, it will do incredibly well. We have this with Coca-Cola compared to RC Cola, for example. A culture of trust can outperform excessive oversight in business, which is kind of the last one they talked about, where they had to put one of their guys into dementia care because he was sitting there too long. But I do believe that if you're getting entrusted in a company, you will do greatly because now you feel trusted. You feel I can sense this back to my job personally, where if you know that your boss thinks highly of you and he trusts you with the tasks, you will perform them greatly. So I think that's just some key takeaways from the video, and I'll make a video on IQ. I think it's a very interesting company. ValuePig also found this. It's a Chinese Netflix in a sense. Of course, in China we have different amount of streaming services, but this should be one of the bigger ones. So we'll look more into the finances and everything behind that another day. So I hope you had a great video, and I hope you have a great day, and catch you later.